Hey Bees! This silky facial serum formulation stars a potent blend of some of my favorite skincare actives to brighten, hydrate, and nourish your skin. If you are all about brightening and hydrating your skin while boosting barrier performance, this formulation is for you. I love using the serum in the middle of my skincare routine, so I'll pat a few drops of it into my skin after cleansing, but before applying a face cream or a facial oil. We'll be making a 180 gram batch today, which is roughly 6 fluid ounces. If you'd like to scale this formulation up or down, or just see everything written out, you can find the full formulation written out in percentages and grams in the partner blog post over on my website, linked in the description box below, and that is, as always, completely free. We'll begin by weighing out all of our ingredients. The bulk of this formulation is a blend of watery things. You'll need 72 grams of a hydrosol of choice. I'm using Rose Hydrosol, which was a gift from Essential Wholesale. This hydrosol is what scents the formulation, and you can definitely use a different hydrosol for a different scent, or a blend of hydrosols if you want. 36 grams of a 1% low molecular weight hyaluronic acid solution lends some awesome, non-sticky, hydrating humectant goodness to the formulation, and also amps up that luxury factor. And lastly, 26.51 grams of plain old distilled water rounds out our wet stuff. Up next is actives. This is where the magic happens. Our skin brightening goodness comes from a blend of 9 grams each niacinamide and N-Acetyl Glucosamine. Both of these ingredients have skin brightening powers on their own, but have found to be extra brightening when used together. They also help reduce transepidermal water loss, boost ceramide production, reduce inflammation, and improve barrier function. If you'd like to learn more about niacinamide, I just did a deep dive into it, so make sure you check that out. If you don't have one or the other of these ingredients, I recommend replacing the missing ingredient with a botanical extract that your skin loves. I think pea extract would be a really good option, as it can help even out skin tone and dark spots, but I also love calendula and chamomile extracts. Whatever extract you choose, make sure it's water soluble so it's compatible with this formulation. Up next, you'll need 0.72 grams of allantoin. Allantoin is fabulous for moisturizing and softening the skin. According to Modern Cosmetics, a 0.2% solution of it is equivalent to 10% urea solution for skin softening. We're using it at 0.4% in this formulation, so your skin will be nice and soft. If you don't have allantoin, a comfrey root extract could be a good alternative, though you'll probably want to use more of it, as it won't be as potent. Refer to your supplier documentation to get an idea of how much of it you should use. Our next ingredient is 3.6 grams of betaine, and this is different from cocamidopropyl betaine. Do not use cocamidopropyl betaine instead of betaine. Betaine is a new to Humblebee and me ingredient that I've had for eons and have finally cracked open and started using. It is a conditioning, non-sticky moisturizer and humectant that has the side benefit of boosting the solubility of allantoin in water, which is so cool. If you don't have this ingredient, I'd try using more sodium lactate, which appears later in the formulation, instead. And our last ingredient is 5.4 grams of powdered panthenol, also known as vitamin B5. Panthenol is a long-time favorite of mine for its moisturizing, skin softening, and anti-inflammatory awesomeness. If your panthenol is liquid, please refer to the Humblebee and Me encyclopedia entry on panthenol to learn to figure out how much to use instead. I've included 2 low-tack humectants in this formulation to help complement the hyaluronic acid. You'll need 5.4 grams of Propanediol, which also helps boost preservative performance, and 7.2 grams of sodium lactate, which is a fantastic humectant and can actually help reduce the tackiness of our formulas. My sodium lactate is a 60% liquid solution. If yours is a different concentration or powdered, you'll need to adjust how much you use. There's more information about that in the Humblebee and Me encyclopedia entry on sodium lactate. The next category of ingredients in this formulation are thickeners. So there's not much thickener in this formulation at all, just a wee bit to give the formulation a bit of body and richness so it feels more like a serum and less just kind of watery. You'll need 0.36 grams of soft xanthan gum and 0.18 grams of polyquaternium 10. Including polyquaternium 10 in a serum is an idea I got from the La Roche-Posay Effaclar Ultra Concentrated Serum. I've been using that lately and I love the way it feels, so I thought I'd give it a try here, and I really like it. If you don't have polyquaternium 10, you can just replace it with more soft xanthan gum. And lastly, we've got 3 functional ingredients. You'll need 0.9 grams of liquid Germall Plus, and this is our broad spectrum preservative. Up next, you'll need 3.6 grams of PEG-8 Dimethicone. So this is 2% of the formulation, and it adds a bit of emollients to the formulation, improves skin feel, and reduces the tackiness that you can get with active, rich, watery products. If you don't have this ingredient, you could try replacing it with more distilled water, but be aware that the serum will be tackier. Whether or not it'll be too tacky for your liking is hard to say, as tackiness is really quite personal. You could try a different PEG silicone if you have one. Just make sure it is PEG, so it's water soluble. A non-PEG silicone will just float on top of the serum. And lastly, you'll need 0.126 grams of a 90% lactic acid solution, and this just helps bring the pH down a bit. We'll still be checking it at the end to make sure that everything is all good, but I worked this amount out as part of my development process. As you see, I'm weighing it right into the distilled water rather than into a little dish on its own because it's such a tiny amount. To make this formulation, we'll begin by pre-distributing our thickening ingredients in our non-water wet ingredients. Stir together the xanthan gum, polyquaternium 10, propanediol, sodium lactate, liquid Germall Plus, and PEG-8 Dimethicone until the mixture is smooth and uniform. Up next, we'll add the wet things. So add the hydrosol, the hyaluronic acid solution, and the distilled water, and stir to combine. Now it's time to add all of our beautiful actives. Add the allantoin, niacinamide, N-Acetyl Glucosamine, betaine, and panthenol to your beaker and stir to combine. Once you have all of the ingredients in your beaker, cover your beaker and leave it for a couple hours so that all the ingredients can dissolve. The finished serum won't be completely clear, it'll still be a wee bit hazy, but it will be much clearer than it is right after you've mixed everything together. Now it's time to check the pH of our formulation before packaging it up. Do this by weighing 2 grams of the serum and 18 grams of distilled water into a small dish or beaker and whisking to combine. This creates a 10% solution. And I know it seems really counterintuitive to dilute a product to check its pH, but surprisingly enough, this level of dilution doesn't impact the pH reading. I've included some links to learn more in the partner blog post, but this is also something that you can just test yourself. Try testing both a 10% and a 50% dilution, and you'll find the readings are very, very close despite the sizable difference in the composition of the solutions. Use your pH meter to check the pH of the dilution that you've made, giving it a bit of a stir and making sure that the electrode is fully submerged in the mixture. You can learn more about the pH meter that I have in the equipment section of the Humblebee and Me encyclopedia. The pH of the formulation should fall in the 5.25 to 5.75 range. If it's lower than 4.5, you'll want to raise it, and if it's higher than 6, you'll want to lower it. If you're thinking this sounds low for niacinamide, please watch the deep dive I just did into it to learn why it's not. And for more information on pH testing and adjusting, please read that partner blog post. There's lots of helpful links there. Now that we know that the pH is all well and good, it's time to package this serum up. I recommend using a bottle with a dropper, a treatment pump, or an orifice reducer cap. Want to learn more about brightening anti-inflammatory niacinamide? Click here. And if you're looking for a formulation that's a bit simpler but is still brightening, click here. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe and I'll see you next time. Bye!